So, because I had such a wonderful time watching Fallout despite my complete lack of knowledge for the game series, I decided to repeat the feat and dive headfirst into more uncharted territories by watching yet another television series based on a popular video game I know precisely jack shit about. Unlike Fallout, however, I didn't have any prior enticement to draw me into Arcane. I never saw any promotion for it, I never saw any trailers, I hadn't seen any clips or anything like that, and honestly, I probably knew less about League of Legends than I did about Fallout. Of course, me being me, back when the show first came out back in 2021, there were people telling me, oh, you should definitely watch Arcane, you don't need to know anything about League of Legends in order to watch it and enjoy it. But my stupid brain was like, well, I mean, I haven't played League of Legends, so how can I watch Arcane? Again, it's such a stupid mindset. I do it all the time. I don't know why. It's wrapping up with its second and apparently final season, and honestly, I feel like I don't watch as much animation as I used to. And I really should, because I forget how much I love animation sometimes. So Arcane felt like the next logical step after Fallout. I feel I should point out also, I'm only going to be talking about this in the context of Season 1. As of uploading this, I have yet to see Season 2, but trust me, I will have not too long after. Hello there, this is my alternate editing personality speaking, hence the weird filter. Just a quick interruption to let you know that as of editing this, I have actually seen Season 2. I started putting this together quite a while ago, and I genuinely did intend to upload it before watching Season 2, and actually before Season 2 had finished. But by the time I got around to editing it, Season 2 had finished, and I realised I'm not going to get very far into this process without getting Season 2 completely spoiled for me, so I decided to just watch it. Also, putting these together takes me a really long time. I make them with a lot of limitations, and I'm literally figuring this out as I'm doing it. I guess I bit off a bit more than I could chew, you could say. But you know, you live and learn. At the very least, the main recording of this I made before I had watched Season 2, so it is still technically from the perspective of a guy who hasn't seen Season 2, but the guy editing has, so if you see any cheeky little nods or edits alluding to Season 2 stuff, you know why. Anyway, apologies for the interruption. Alternative me, as you were. Honestly, despite the stark stylistic differences between this and Fallout, there's a surprising amount of similarities between the two. And I know what you're thinking. What could Arcane possibly have in common with Fallout? That's like the most night and day of television shows you could possibly imagine. But hear me out. Both are based on lore-heavy video games that have been going for years at this point. Both are about the division between rich and poor. The classes are separated by one existing above and the other below, although the class positions are inverted. Both feature a character who's over 200 years old. Both feature a classic The Slob and the Snob romance story. One of the main characters is a privileged sort who's learning about the different ways of living in a much harsher, more impoverished environment. There's a storyline about people trying to harness a new revolutionary world-changing technology, an ineffectual military force that's mostly just abusing their powers. Ella Purnell portrays one of the main characters, which admittedly I didn't realize until like episode 6 when I saw her name in the credits. Both feature characters who are heavily reliant on a chemical substance. Both feature sequences involving a group of bureaucrats sitting around a circular table. Everyone's really fucking horny.
You wanna have sex?
You're hot, Cupcake.
Bird.
Yes, I am Bird.
Try not to lose your nuts.
Sorry, intercourse?
I'm off to sample the local cuisine.
The guy was fucking my chickens.
Jokes aside though, going from one adaptation of a lore-laden property to another was such an interesting experience, and oh my god is it good. I'm starting to feel like I'm being like just invigorated by all the cool shit that I've been injecting into my brain recently. It's like a drug, honestly. Now before I get into this, I will admit that a game like League of Legends isn't really the type of game that appeals to me personally. Not for any bad reasons, I'm sure it's a great game, but I'm just not very big on online multiplayer or team-based games. I guess I just prefer my lonesome, cozy, single-player experiences. Contrary to watching Fallout, I actually did feel a bit more confident delving into this because I was aware that the series was mostly following its own continuity and apparently came up with its own stories for the characters. I mean, not that I'd be any fucking wiser. I don't know who any of these people are. Also, it's a free-to-play multiplayer game. How complicated and expansive can the lore be?
Holy flirking schnit!
I came across the League of Legends universe page, so I decided to go through it, you know, just for shits and gigs. Oh my god. I was not aware that League of Legends was this fucking extensive. Holy fuck. There's so many characters. And I recognize almost none of them. Well, okay, there's Vi. Okay, there's one. I recognize almost none of them, though. Arcane takes place in the high-class utopian city of Piltover, who are completely neglectful of the more impoverished undercity of Zon, and it details the growing tensions of class warfare between the two. We follow a cornucopia of characters who, in all honesty, are all seriously compelling to watch and worthy of their own analysis. It's actually pretty wild how literally everyone and their story feel very purposeful. Even minor characters who don't get nearly as much time or development as the main players still get at least a moment to shine. But I am mostly going to be focusing on the heart and soul of the series, which is of course sisters Vi and Powder, otherwise known as Jinx. Also, I probably will more than likely do a follow-up to this for when I've watched season 2, because I don't think I'm going to be stopping thinking about this very soon. I was gonna go through all of them and maybe like read their bios, but then I clicked on like the first 3 and then I was like, come on. Here's the thing though, some of these characters I actually do want to like look into. We're introduced to Vi and Powder in a really haunting prologue where some sort of battle has taken place on a bridge. The two sisters make their way through the aftermath and find their parents dead before they're taken away to safety by Vander, who becomes their adoptive father. What I actually really love about this prologue is how much about the world and the characters that it conveys very quickly. We see that Vi is very clearly a protective older sister who's told Powder to shield her eyes as she leads her way through the horrors of what's just happened. It establishes that there's some sort of warfare happening between two separated areas of this world. It establishes that Vander is a powerful and brutish individual, but he also prioritizes the safety of two children who just lost their parents. It cements Vi's opinion on enforcers and just Piltover as a whole, which is going to be very crucial to a relationship she will have later on in her life. It shows that now that she's lost her parents, Powder is likely going to look to Vi as her new primary caregiver. She does still have Vander, of course, but because she's her sister, it makes more sense for her to look to her. All of this with barely a spoken word and before the intro credits. And I will admit, I did get a bit of a satisfying spark in my brain when I realized that this is where that fucking Imagine Dragons song was from. I've been hearing that song for years now at this point, and I had no idea that this is where it was from. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Now, here's the thing. Because the intro credits kind of spoil the fact that Vi and Powder will eventually grow up to clash at some point, I was ready and prepared to watch a story of this incredibly cute relationship to slowly crumble as the two grow up and discover their own paths in life and latch on to different ideologies and eventually separate and become rivals. You know, kind of like a Magneto Professor X type situation. Have some animated fun along the way, maybe towards the end get a little bit emotional and learn a few lessons about family and sisterhood, that type of stuff, you know, like sounds like a pretty good story, right? Yeah, so what I wasn't prepared for was an absolutely fucking devastating set of circumstances that separates these two from a young age. I'll get there soon enough, don't you worry. I don't know Pokemon super well, but I'm pretty sure there is a Pokemon that looks exactly like this guy. Anivia? But then you get to this character, and her name's just Annie. She's got like cat ears on. Oh my god. Annie, are you okay? What the fuck? The Dark Child. Did I click on the... Hold on. Did I click on the right character? Let me try this again. Annie. How does she go from this to fucking this? We then jump ahead a couple of years to when Vi, Powder and their adoptive brothers Milo and Clagger are being a bunch of rapscallions and doing the Robin Hood routine by stealing some goodies from Piltover. Powder grabs a handful of a bunch of mysterious magical little crystals as they narrowly make their escape, but cause an explosion in the process. As they make their way back down to Zon, they get jumped by another gang, and although they fight valiantly and Vi gets to display her physical prowess to the audience, Powder, who obviously isn't as physically threatening, but she is a bit of an amateur tech whiz with a lot more room to grow, loses most of the loot in the process, unfortunately, which apparently isn't an uncommon occurrence as Milo considers her the human equivalent of a broken mirror, or spilt salt.
She jinxes every job. Just
Fuck you! And your eyebrows!
They make their way back down to what's known as the lanes of Zon, and I really like the visual dichotomy between these two cities. They feel like two different subgenres, where Piltover has this much more fancy Art Deco steampunk vibe to it. Zon has much more of a grimy industrial biopunk vibe to it. But they do still feel like connected cities. They don't feel so dissimilar that it's jarring or anything like that. The kids make their way back to Vander's place, and he's not too pleased about their little escapades. Ever since the events of the Prologue, Vander has pretty much completely abandoned his war against Piltover in favour of looking after his people and his adoptive children. Vander's such an interesting character, and I really like that they'd never fully explain what his prior relationship with Vi and Powder was, or even with their parents. There's enough there to give you information that these people are just a very solid unit with one another. Where the fuck is Vander? Hold on, where's V? V. Did I miss Vander? Varus, Vayne, Vigor, Is Vander not in the game? How the fuck is Vander? Wait a minute, hold on a minute. You're telling me that fucking, where is he? Hold on. I saw him earlier. You're telling me that fucking Schrodenhoppen is in the game as a playable character, but Vander isn't. Vander was a fucking unit. Why is he not in the game? Oh, that's ridiculous. Vander's now at a point in life where he's trying to maintain peace between the two cities by encouraging the citizens of Zon to avoid confrontation, even though tension does continue to rise. Piltover enforcers begin scouring the streets of Zon in order to find the culprits of the robbery, and even though Vander does have a pretty respectable relationship with the Sheriff Grayson, the much more abusive Marcus begins pressuring Vander with more direct threats. Because, you know, Marcus has got literally fucking anything on Vander. Elsewhere in Zon, up-and-coming career criminal Silco is working on a new chemical substance that can physically alter and enhance humans. I'll come back to him soon. As a means of protecting her sister and her family, Vi chooses to take full culpability for the robbery and decides to hand herself over to the enforcers. Vander finds out about this, and being the fucking awesome dad that he is like, nah, no way, I'm still fucking breathing, and switches places with her. As he's being hauled away, Silco and his cronies make a dramatic villainous entrance and kill Vander's friend Benzo along with Grayson.
What the hell have you done? This wasn't the deal!
That wasn't part of our deal, Blackheart! That wasn't part!
He then gives Vander a bit of a kick-in and then takes him away, all the while Vi just has to sit back and watch. Vander and Silco were apparently very close friends back in the day and fought the fight against Piltover together, and in their words were pretty much like brothers. But after Vander's change of heart, Silco understandably felt kind of betrayed when Vander tried to have him killed and left him with a severe case of conjunctivitis. Now he's making his big comeback with his new fashion drug Shimmer and plans to reignite the fight against the more oppressive Upper City. Oh god, we're getting there soon. This fucking episode, honestly. Vi plans a rescue mission with Milo and Clagger, but insists that Powder stay behind, despite having already encouraged her little sister that she is ready and she is capable of plenty. Alone and distraught, Powder remembers the crystals she stole and decides to follow the gang to try and help them. Oh god, all she wants to do is help them. Oh, the misery! As Vi and her brothers attempt to rescue Vander, they are cornered by Silco and his crew, and as they are about to find a viable escape route, Powder, in a desperate attempt to help, combines one of the crystals with her little bombs that don't usually work, and sends it in the direction of Silco's monster. Unfortunately, the resulting explosion causes the death of both Milo and Clagger. Now severely pissed off and protecting Vi, who's stuck under some rubble, Vander's much more violent self comes to the surface again before being stabbed by Silco. Vander's such a fucking awesome character, seriously. It doesn't look like he's a character in the game, but he's close enough to being a video game character for me to qualify for the gruff and tough but secretly sensitive video game dads list. In a last-ditch effort to save Vi, Vander takes some Shimmer and goes full Bruce Banner on bootleg Bane. Silco legs it, and Vander quickly gets Vi to safety before completely running out of battery life. His last words to her being,
"Take care of Powder."
And then we get to what is easily the most heart-wrenching scene in this entire fucking season. I mean, it's not exactly been an episode of It's Always Sunny the last couple of hours, but fucking hell. Powder makes her appearance and for once actually feels kinda proud of herself because she thinks she done something right for once.
Did you see me? My monkey bomb finally worked!
Before realizing that almost everyone is actually dead because of her. Vi, who is understandably also in anguish, impulsively punches Powder, saying that Milo was right and that she is in fact a Jinx.
No! Why did you leave me?
Because you're a jinx! Do you hear me? Milo was right!
I was caught completely off guard by this scene, and even though it's an animation, it's presented in such a raw and real manner that makes it all the more uncomfortable to watch. The way Powder goes from happy to horrific realization, and the way that Vi just can't listen to her crying because her anger is just too much to subdue. The way she forcibly grabs her by the jaw after punching her, and Powder just feels so fucking helpless and terrified. This might just be me reading a little too much into things, but there's a little moment where Powder grabs Vi's arm and very quickly lets go. Like, she's trying to get her arm away from her face because she's like, you just punched me and my face is sore, and you grabbing me by the jaw is making it feel even worse. But she very quickly realizes she can't physically pull Vi's hand away. And Vi's not exactly the moisturizing cream and French tips kind of girl. She has very fucking strong hands. So getting punched or getting throttled by her is gonna really fucking hurt. The realization of what she just did sets into her also when she sees her sister's blood trickle down onto her knuckles. It's sad for Vi as well, because she's also a child in this situation. And she does have a right to be angry at Powder for a situation that she did just cause, but obviously she shouldn't have punched her because, like, oh God almighty. But now she's just gonna feel even worse about the situation because the person she loves and cares about the most and has vowed to protect all of her life, she just hurt and put in a position of pain that she probably always promised to keep her away from. And the same kind of applies to Powder, because the person she loves most and admires and looks up to and sees as a protector just made her feel like a small, helpless being. Vi walks away to try and compose herself, leaving Powder to beg for her return. It's an absolute credit to the directing, the writing, the production, and the fucking voice acting as well. Like, Mia Sinclair in particular, not to discredit any other like vocal performance in this series because I think everyone's great, but she was apparently like 12, 13 years old when she recorded these lines, and I just find that astonishing. I've always had a particular fascination with voice acting because it's a very different experience, seemingly. Because a lot of people don't know that a lot of times voice acting is just someone in a room by themselves speaking into a microphone. There are some exceptions to this rule, of course, but for the most part, it is just them by themselves. You don't have the atmosphere of a set to draw you in. You don't have the rhythm of another actor to bounce off of. You don't have the weight of costume or makeup to help you get more connected to that character. It's just you with a script in front and maybe a screen above you with some rough cut animation for reference, and that's pretty much it. I don't know, I've always just found it fascinating. While Vi is still trying to compose herself, Silco begins to approach Powder, and Vi does make an attempt to return to help her, but is unfortunately captured by Marcus. Powder, feeling completely dejected, latches on to Silco, claiming that Vi is not her sister anymore, which clearly sparks something in Silco's brain, reminding him of his relationship with Vander as he decides to embrace her and promises that
We will show them all.
This scene really fucking stuck with me, I cannot deny it. Like, I don't usually get this very often, where a scene will, like, enter my brain and just not leave me alone sometimes. Like, it ate its way into my subconscious. I watched The Penguin recently. There was a scene that left me with a very similar feeling, but for different reasons. I won't say what it is, but if you've seen The Penguin, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, elsewhere in the world of Piltover, we follow Jace, an aspiring scientist who's been trying to harness arcane magic ever since he and his mother were saved by a mysterious mage. He wants to harness magic so he can revolutionize Piltover's technology by way of the little blue crystals that Powder stole. Hi, Jinx. Okay, Jarvan 4 Jax. Jace? I did not recognize... What is up with his design? Oh my god. I thought I didn't like his design in the series. Oh my god. What is this? What is with his face? What is... Oh my god. Oh no. Defender of Tomorrow. You're not Defender of Drip anyway. I can't get over his face. Why does he look like that? What is this big fucking arm? I suppose it's for the hammer, I guess. But still though, Jesus, this is a bit over-designed, man. Picking a fight with me is the dumbest thing you've done today, and that's saying a lot. That should have been what he said after he killed that kid that one time. Initially, he is reprimanded by Piltover's Council of Leaders for doing all of this without permission, but he does get support from disabled scientist Victor and Mel, who's a member of the council, who both see the potential in Jace's research. Once Jace and Victor actually make a breakthrough using the crystals, they get approval from the council to move forward with their research. Several years go by and Piltover is now prospering because of Jace and Victor's innovations, which they call Hehextech. They've now managed to create a more stable version of the crystals so that they can apply it to more convenient handheld technology, which can only be a good thing for society, right? I mean, this thing literally looks like Thanos adding a fucking stone to the Infinity Gauntlet. What could possibly go wrong? Heimerdinger, who's a 300-year-old member of the council, is like, alright, great, now take another 10 years and make sure that no one can use this irresponsibly and then we'll talk. Victor begins working on a new project where the Hextech can interact with organic matter in hopes that one day that it can cure his worsening health condition. Heimerdinger, though, deems it too dangerous and orders him and Jace to destroy it, but Jace, who was recently made a member of the council, manages to get the rest of them to agree on Heimerdinger's retirement so he and Victor can continue their research.
I'll tell him. Coon, I'm sorry, but we're kicking him out of Coon and Friends.
You're kicking me out of Coon and Friends. We all voted and it was unanimous. You can't kick me out of Coon and Friends. I'm the fucking Coon!
Are these characters like... Cause he looks like a mountain. Is he to scale in the fucking game? Garen... He looks like a Warhammer... Oh my god, who's this? He's so cute. Nar. Oh, he looks even cuter in motion. Look at his little bone skull. Look at his little cubone helmet. That's so cute. Watch this thing be like a vicious, like, cannibalistic... Oh, he's angry. The missing link. Nar. Nar? Is that all he just says Nar. I want one. I want him. Look at him. He looks so cute. I bet he's, like, seriously, like, dangerous. I bet he's like a horrible monster in the the universe of League of Legends. Meanwhile, Powder, who now identifies herself as Jinx, has become Silco's adoptive daughter and subordinate in the fight against Piltover, and is suffering a severe form of psychosis as a result of her traumatic childhood, and Vi has been in fucking Blackgate prison the whole time. Despite her affliction though, Jinx has now become a much more efficient and skilled inventor, making all sorts of deadly weapons and embracing a devil-may-care attitude towards her violent acts of chaos. These criminal acts catch the attention of Piltover enforcer Caitlyn, who decides to conduct her own investigation, which eventually leads her to meeting Vi in prison whilst she's channeling Rama from the fucking raid. Vi decides to form an alliance with Caitlyn when she discovers that her sister is the prime suspect of Caitlyn's investigation. And that's the only reason. What I really like about this series is that despite the fact that Vi and Jinx are opposing forces for the majority of the season, both of them really do feel like the protagonist. Granted, one of them is given much more of a villainous presence than the other one, but they both want the same thing. They both want to reunite with each other. Despite where I initially thought like Jinx's character was going, she isn't on a quest for revenge against Vi or anything. She does seemingly genuinely want to find her sister again, but unfortunately because they're older and they're very different people and damaged and have different relationships, makes it so difficult. There's so many factors and elements in the equation of their relationship that make it the emotional roller coaster that it is. It's so complex and intense to watch develop or devolve, or it's a little bit of everything, but it all fucking hurts. I don't know what their popularity status has been in League of Legends for the last 15 years, but they're very clearly the Dante and Virgil of League of Legends, right? The liquid and the solid, the Anna and the Nina, the Katana and the Melina. Why am I trying to sound like Eminem? I have a soft spot for the sibling rivalry stories. I love their pink and blue aesthetic. I love their opposing personalities. I like how they have different battle styles where Vi is all fire and fisticuffs. While Jinx is more guns and gadgets. Because they both experienced significant loss at such a young age, they've dealt with it in different ways. Vi took the I need to toughen up and be a unit in order to survive and protect those I care about approach. She's brash, high-tempered, and always ready to square up to anyone, even if she is outmatched. But she can certainly dish it out and take it. Despite her rocky exterior, however, her love for others is really what her driving force is in life. Primarily her sister, but others as well. Her relationship with Caitlyn is probably the most prominent example. Being a snobby, high-class enforcer, Caitlyn is someone Vi has nothing but disdain for initially. But as they go on, they do start to see the layers in each other and learn about the way each other's world work and see a different walk of life. And they become friends.
You gonna help me out, Cupcake?
Stop calling me that. My name is Caitlyn.
But you're so sweet. Like a cupcake.
Being the goody two-shoes type, Caitlyn is very much going against the apathetic and corrupt nature of the enforcers in Piltover, which is probably one of the main reasons Vi develops feelings for her. I mean, among other things, of course.
You're hot, Cupcake. So what'll it be, man or woman? 'Cause you're
They're such a fun duo. I stan them. I stan Violin. Is that what people called him? It must be, right? Surely didn't he go with Kate Let?
How exactly do you propose we go about this?
Let him think you work here.
Excuse me? I will not.
I will not.
Caitlyn! Okay, finally, someone I recognize. Alright, cool. Why is Caitlyn giving me Zatanna vibes in the game? Is that just me? She looks cool though. I quite like her looking in the game. I love her look in the series. I think her design when she's got the ponytail, when she's like going through Zon with Vi, that's a really fucking cool design. This is cool as well though. This is a really cool looking design. To be the best hunter, you have to be able to think like your prey. The Sheriff of Piltover. Oh, she's the sheriff in the lore. Okay. Powder, because she was much younger and felt more physically disadvantaged, took the approach of I need to cling to whoever I have as hard as possible, namely Vi. She did obviously have others like Vander and her brothers, but being so young, she obviously is going to stick to the person she feels closest to, which is why the feeling of being hurt and discarded by Vi is enough to severely traumatize her and even begin embracing a moniker that was once hurled at her as an insult.
Powder, it's okay.
Stop calling me that. It's Jinx now. Powder fell down a well.
Apparently Jinx's game counterpart was inspired partially by the Joker and I suppose by extent Harley Quinn. And based on her bio and her little music video, which is an absolute banger by the way, I can definitely see that inspiration. The Arcane version, I don't really see as much. Her manic cleric of chaos attitude in the series comes across more like a coping mechanism to avoid inner torment. We see multiple times throughout the season that she does seem to genuinely feel sadness and remorse and guilt and regret over certain things that have happened and things that are her fault. Also, that side of her personality was heavily influenced by Silco.
You need to let Powder die. Jinx is perfect.
They have a very interesting dynamic. He initially comes across like your typical manipulative sociopath who's controlling an emotionally unstable girl to use as an asset in his plans for revolting against Piltover. And I'm not going to say he's not doing that because he kind of is, but the more we see of them, the more we see an incredibly trusting paternal relationship. Jinx never feels intimidated, controlled, or minimized by him. I mean, despite the fact that Jinx has this reputation as a complete fuck-up and is known for her chaotic antics, he trusts her enough to mainline an injection of shimmer directly into his decaying eyeball. Now, I have friends and family that I trust very much in life, but I wouldn't let them near my arm with a needle, let alone a fucking orifice. Silco is such an interesting antagonist, and he can join Scar and Loki as yet another awesome queer-coded villain who betrays their more masculine, sexy-voiced brother for their own agenda. But for all of these surprisingly good qualities in Silco and Jinx's relationship, it's still an unhealthy and broken one. Despite how much they clearly care about each other, Silco still has a level of possessiveness and manipulation towards her. He projects his belief that everyone betrays you onto Jinx a lot and convinces her that Vi doesn't care about her, which is even worse when you consider that she is severely mentally ill. She's constantly having breaks from reality, hearing and seeing things that aren't actually there, which is just heartbreaking to witness. Reconnecting with her sister would absolutely be a great thing for her, but whether it's her psychosis, distrust, or others' influence, something always gets in the way of it. When they do eventually reunite with each other, it's a genuinely good moment for them, and Powder seems to resurface for a second, and they make actual progress towards possibly reconciling with each other.
You did what you had to do to survive. Me too. It's okay. What matters is we're together.
It's short-lived, however, as Caitlyn makes an appearance and sends Jinx's mind into a spiral.
You're a class act, sister. Sister thought I missed her, but you wouldn't miss her.
They get attacked by the Green Goblin fan club, and as they are fighting, Vi officially gets to see who Jinx is for the first time. Vi and Caitlyn get abducted, and once again, Jinx is left alone, feeling abandoned. During their captivity, the Firelights leader reveals himself to be Ekko, her and Powder's childhood friend. The Firelights are fighting the fight against Silco's exploits and Zaun, who have been controlling everyone by making the people of Zaun reliant on Shimmer. Ekko and the Firelights have made a hidden refuge where they help the afflicted. Similarly to what I said about Fallout being very digestible despite its incredibly long and complicated history, Arcane balances everything in it so damn well. I love the 3-act structure that it has for the 9 episodes. I mean, obviously I binged all 9 of these pretty much back to back, but I do like how every 3 episodes do feel like their own complete chapter of the story, which gives the season such a smooth pace. I also like how all but a couple of episodes start with a prologue flashback where we get a little bit more insight into a different main character. More to that though, because there are so many characters in this season and so many moving cogs, I think it's remarkable that it just never feels overwhelming. Ekko, Vi and Caitlyn come to an agreement to return one of the Hex crystals that Jinx stole to the Piltover Council as a peace offering. As they cross the bridge to get to Piltover, Vi decides that she isn't giving up hope on Powder and departs with Ekko and Caitlyn to find her sister, not knowing that she's watching them from a distance. And we actively see her trying to fight her delusions when she sees Vi showing affection towards Caitlyn.
Shut up. It's just a goodbye hug.
She wouldn't do that.
It's really sad to see Jinx perceive things this way, that Caitlyn is some sort of monstrous saboteur to her connection to her sister, but it does make sense. They establish in Act 1 that Powder, even before the incident, that Powder was clearly a very mentally troubled child who hated even the thought of being left behind by Vi. So growing up with this fear of abandonment coupled with her mental breaks from reality, seeing Vi show affection of any kind to someone else is going to sting her. But Ekko and Caitlyn are cut off by the best cop in the world, Marcus, and other enforcers who are blocking access to Piltover, and a shootout ensues, prompting Vi to run back and help them, which unfortunately puts Jinx in a seriously bad mood, so much so that she showers the bridge with honestly pretty damn beautiful looking explosives and kills most of the enforcers and Marcus in the process. Wah wah. Yeah, sorry Marcus, I can't feel too bad for you right now, you fucking prick. I feel bad for your daughter because she's probably an orphan now, but you know, just you should have known better. As Jinx is about to open fire on Caitlyn and Vi, Ekko intervenes as the others make their escape. This scene
is amazing.
Ekko and Jinx have this really fascinating standoff. It flashes back and forth between them play fighting as children and them fighting now. Ekko seems to do this thing where he predicts how the fight is going to go based on a memory he has of a game they played when they were kids, and it is illustrated by the art style just completely changing. Ekko manages to get the upper hand on her before she pulls the old classic move of "I've been holding a bomb the whole time." What I find really interesting about that interaction is that we never see Ekko and Powder like interacting as children in Act 1, but interestingly in the Imagine Dragons music video for Enemy we do see Powder, Vi, Ekko, Clagger and Milo all hanging about when they're children, but there's a strong emphasis on Ekko and Powder hanging about and being buds. We see them dancing together, they're doing some shadow boxing, they're saying fuck the police, and just a lot of them two seemingly being friends with each other. I just find it very interesting and cool that there's this almost completely wordless backstory between these two that is told in a fight scene and a music video. Also, Ekko is barely in this whole series and he gets one of the coolest scenes in the entire thing. I suppose that's a pretty good segue to just talk about how fucking good this show looks. Apparently this took something like 6 years to be fully developed, and I have no difficulty believing that for a second. This is fucking mesmerizing to look at. Everything from the world, the environments, the character designs, oh my god, the immaculately crafted action sequences. There's such a variety of action as well, and I like how a lot of the sequences come across like music videos, which I know is a comparison I imagine most would use typically as a form of criticism, but I mean it in the best possible way. It fits the show's personality so well. I suppose it makes sense because considering the series was kind of born from the music videos that Riot was making to promote their game and their characters, it just feels like the creators going, let's embrace this aspect as part of our style. The music in general is great, not just the songs, but the original score as well. The track from episode 3, from when Vander gets back on his feet till the credits roll, fucking phenomenal stuff. I just think it's amazing how you can have so much flashiness and animation styles in your series, sometimes at the same time or in quick succession from each other, and it doesn't feel like visual waterboarding. I feel the same way about the Spider-Verse movies, ironically also featuring the voice talents of Haley Steinfeld as a blue-eyed, half-shaven headed badass with facial piercings. And I love some of these character designs, I really do. Like, I had a really fun time going through the League of Legends universe page and looking at the characters that I know and don't know and comparing them to like their show counterparts. One of my favorite things in video games is customization and alternative costumes, but the way they're represented in this show is just impeccable. I suppose it helps that you have like years to draw upon, so you can just tinker with them to fit your new vibe. The series is clearly a lot darker than the game, both tonally and aesthetically, but thankfully they never fall into the trap of just desaturating things. I slept on this series for a long time, but that Jinx design never went past me. It is iconic as hell. And hi Jinx. I do find Jinx's design in the game compared to her Arcane version very interesting. Like, because I can see the Harley Quinn inspiration here a little bit more, like the Joker stuff, I suppose. Like, she looks a lot happier and much more, she's genuinely a chaotic person. Whereas in Arcane, she's just seems severely unwell. But here, like, she does just look like an agent of chaos. I do like it though. Her game counterpart does look cool as well. You know, I like all of her accoutrements. I liked it in Arcane as well, but I love the idea of a rocket launcher shaped like a shark. That's a very cute concept. Also the very long hair, that's such an iconic design choice. Mel should honestly just have her picture added to the dictionary next to the word regal. Silco is exactly what I would imagine a human version of Scar would look like. Caitlyn gets 2 primary outfits in this series, and they both are so cool. Vi looks awesome, obviously, but what I like about Vi's design is how it evolves as the series progresses. I mean, all of the characters evolve visually to a degree, but Vi's one is very prominent, like pieces keep getting added to her until we complete her full look. Like when we first see her in the prologue, she looks very normal, has pretty much the same hairstyle as her sister except it's pink. A few years pass and she looks like she's finding more of her personal look. Half her head is shaved but the rest of it is swooped behind her ear. She has bandages around her hands, she has a hooded vest on with a little shoulder guard, and then after she's been in prison for a few years, she's covered in tattoos. Her hairstyle is still shaved but the other half is much longer and falling down in front of her face a little bit more. And then she gets her iconic red jacket, which really just completes the look for her. Can Vi be a guest in Tekken? Like, please? Like, come on, she'd fit right in. I can't be alone in thinking that, right? Oh, there's Vi. I don't know about this look you've got here. I like the big gauntlets. I think they look better in Arcane though. Why do you have goggles on? And goggles don't look like you. Yeah, do you know what? The more I'm looking at your design, the more I'm thinking, they did you... Oh my. Oh no. They did you a big favor in the series she looks way better. This design is really all over the place, by comparison anyway. Why does she have like frills sticking out of one side? Her jacket is so small. Like, she has one really, really big shoulder guard, a massive collar. This is a bizarre design. It's weird because Caitlyn still looks really cool. Jinx still looks really cool. Ekko still looks really cool. Vi though, Jesus, this is a mess. Alright, gushing tangent over with, let me get back to the plot. After the explosion on the bridge, Silco takes Jinx, who is severely wounded, to his doctor friend, while Caitlyn takes Vi back to her place for refuge, because, you know, they're such good friends. And Vi gets to meet Caitlyn's parents.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
After Caitlyn is done telling her parents, Mum, Dad, we're just friends, that's all.
You and your friend can address the council yourselves.
Oh, I see. These are, friends.
She and Vi have a genuinely sweet moment with each other where Vi talks about her childhood with Powder. This is probably the first time since Vander was alive that Vi is able to be vulnerable with someone. I made a bit of a joke earlier about this being the classic slob and the snob romance story, but their relationship is so well done in this series. I do find it a very interesting choice though that the two never actually share a kiss at any point. I guess they decided to save that moment for season 2, and considering it's supposed to be, well, supposedly the final season, it probably does make more sense to keep that romantic gesture for then.
You have no idea.
Now, if only Jace and Victor would acknowledge their true feelings, would be golden.
Excuse me, why are you doing this? Me and him aren't together? Why is this happening? Everyone thinks I'm gay! What if my parents find out? Ah! Why are the Asian girls drawing pictures of us being gay?
What's wrong with being gay? Nothing wrong with that.
But we aren't. I'm not. I'm not either!
I don't care about that, bro!
本当に魚が美味しい Let's go back to when it was new. Weren't we such happy people too?
And I love the admittedly kind of cruel decision to cut from this really tender and affectionate moment between Vi and Caitlyn to Jinx, who is in agony as the doctor uses Shimmer to save her life, causing her hallucinations to spiral out of control. Vi and Caitlyn try to appeal to the council, but Vi calls it quits when the council refuse to do anything about Silco and his actions. Her and Caitlyn have their incredibly dramatic breakup scene. Oh god, so dramatic. It's raining, it's under streetlights, it's foggy, it's dire. Vi forms a bit of a deadly alliance with Jace, who's overcompensating and trying to channel his inner Shao Kahn by wielding a massive Hehextech hammer, and Vi gets her classic Infinity Gauntlets. The two decide to take the fight to Zon themselves, but in the beautifully animated chaos, Jace, being the big dum-dum that he is, accidentally murders a child, causing him to do a complete 180 and stand down, realizing the heavy toll that war extracts from people, demanding that Vi turn over the gauntlets, and like, he literally squares up to her like he's gonna fight her. Mate, this lassie would put you on your arse, pal. Like, you've got nothing on Vi, Jace. Even without the gauntlets, she would lay you out. Elsewhere, Victor starts doing his own unsanctioned experiments and begins combining Shimmer with his Hex Core device, and seems to make actual progress towards healing himself. But as he goes further with his experiments, he accidentally gets his childhood friend killed in the process, convincing him to stop his experiments and accept his mortality, making Jace promise to help him destroy the Hex Core. Viego, Jesus, this guy looks like a novel cover. This looks like the guy you'd see on the cover of like a fantasy novel. The Ruined King. That would be the name of the book. Kinda cool design. Edgelord shit, but in a good way. Wait a minute, Victor. Is that fucking Victor? The Machine Herald. Is this Victor in the game? I'm clicking off this. I feel like this is I feel like that's verging on like spoiler territory for Victor. Is that where he goes in season 2? Do you know what? I'm not even going to ask. I do like how around about this point in the season, almost everyone is realizing the cost of their efforts, regardless of what their intentions are. Jace accidentally kills a kid, Victor accidentally gets his friend killed, Heimerdinger is getting a much needed reality check, seeing firsthand what effect the council's neglect on Zon has been having. Even Silco is starting to feel the cost of war out of fear of losing Jinx, going so far as to try and strike a deal with Jace to grant Zon its independence. And Jace actually does agree to it, but only if he hands over Jinx. At this point, Silco is now starting to understand why Vander abandoned his cause in the name of fatherhood, but the difference between Vander and Silco is that Vander was always trying his hardest to think about everyone in Zon and not just his own little circle. Silco is still willing to forsake others' lives, others' families, others' children.
Could you imagine being separated from your father? I would have had your son killed for this, though I suppose we're ahead on that account. Oops. Oh, so sorry.
You're a dick.
But when it comes to Jinx, it's a different story. Speaking of, Jinx, who is a master of the misunderstanding trope, is on a bit of a shimmer-induced bender and overhears Silco's soliloquy and kidnaps him while he's lamenting on his ultimatum. She also kidnaps Caitlyn while she's in the shower. And finally, she catches Vi after she's done having a fight with Savika. Jinx then sets up an admittedly very Joker-like situation with Vi and Silco tied up at opposite ends of a big dinner table where she starts playing some truly diabolical mind games. This entire sequence is just fucking masterful tension building. The way Jinx starts off, lurking high up in the shadows, getting closer and closer, her shimmer purple eyes glowing in the dark make her look so fucking demonic. Ella Purnell's raspy vocal performance.
Nothing ever stays dead.
The light slowly going down and down until she's right back up in Vi's face again. After a seriously fucked up fake out in which she pretends to have severed Caitlyn's head off, she's like, sheesh, I'm not that homophobic. She rolls Caitlyn up to the table and explains to Vi,
"This is why only fools are gay in television, because you never know when some lunatic writer will come along with a sadistic choice. Let die the woman you love, or suffer your little sister."
Okay, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but basically she's like, get rid of Caitlyn and you and I can be sisters again, or I'll just be the one who kills her and the world can enjoy Jinx. There's a chair that says Jinx, there's one that says powder, it's all very symbolic and oh god, it's intense. Both Vi and Silco try desperately to appeal to their respective version of powder / Jinx. Caitlyn does manage to break free and gets her hands on Jinx's minigun, which I later found out is apparently called Pow Pow in the game. I just find that interesting because Vi nicknames Powder Pow Pow at one point in the series.
I know. Pow Pow, I know.
I just find that an interesting sort of weird connective tissue. I don't know if there's some sort of like meaning behind all of that. There probably isn't, but I just found it interesting. Jinx and Caitlyn have the standoff with each other, and I absolutely love this little moment where Jinx pulls this fake puppy dog face, even though Caitlyn just isn't falling for it. I mean, Jinx already knows she can surprise Caitlyn because she's got shimmer-induced enhanced speed now, so making the Puss in Boots eyes was kind of pointless, but she did it anyway. After she manages to overpower Caitlyn, she goes into a bit of a traumatic episode as she has Silco screaming at her in one ear, she has Vi in the other ear, it's very devil and angel on your shoulder. Silco manages to break free and goes to shoot Vi, but Jinx kills him in what seems to be a defensive manner, but considering how she reacts to it and what she says to Vi afterwards, it looks like it was more completely indirect, like she was just blind firing to snap herself out of her episode, or maybe it was a bit of both. Maybe she did catch a glimpse of Silco pointing a gun at her sister and felt compelled to fire defensively. Silco reminds her that he never would have given up on her for anything and that
you're perfect.
Now grieving the loss of yet another parental figure in her life, she decides to sit in the chair marked Jinx, in what is probably the hardest shot of the whole fucking series. I've been sleeping on this show for the last 3 years, but this image is probably the one I've seen the most in that time, and I always thought that it was a very visceral image, but seeing it appear in the show at this point in one of the final scenes after this incredible journey I just went through, genuinely sent a fucking chill down my spine. She explains to Vi,
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to, even though I'm different, but you changed too.
Here's to the new us.
She decides to leave Caitlyn with Vi, while Sting decides to add some atmosphere in the background. A shimmer tear falls down Jinx's face as she fires a hex-powered rocket directly at the council tower just as they are about to finally come to an agreement on Zon's independence. Too little, too late, I guess.
What could have been?
Hey, this was really fun.
We hope you liked it too.
Seems like we've just begun when suddenly we're through. Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye.
I don't know what kind of effect that explosion is going to have, but there were a lot of important people in that room. Jace, Mel, Victor, and most crucially, Caitlyn's mother. If Jinx is now responsible for the death of Caitlyn's mum, I have a very similar feeling I had with Lucy at the end of Fallout. I can see a much darker future for this Boy Scout. I'm like 50-50 on the fate of the others in the council. It would be a fucking miracle if all or most of them survive. I do think Mel will probably still be alive. It felt as if they just started a new arc for her in Act 3 by introducing her mother as a bit of a foil to her. I think Jace might be dead as a result of it, and that would be a driving force for Mel in the next season. Victor's a tricky one, because apparently he's on the verge of death already, but he's already done a lot of stuff to his body with the Hehextech and the shimmer, so it'd be a bit weird if he was just gone like that. Actually, maybe Jace's death would be a bigger motivator for him next time around.
Wrong! 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 Wrong!
As for Vi and Jinx, I don't really know for sure. Maybe Caitlyn's right and Jinx is too far gone and beyond saving. Maybe Vi might just have to face the unfortunate reality that some people have to face and accept that the person you thought you once knew and loved just isn't that person anymore. Fucking hell, this show's depressing. Don't you blame me, it's their fault. I'll try and put a positive spin on this though. I do always like to remember the wise words of one Charles Xavier.
Just because someone stumbles, loses their way, it doesn't mean they're lost forever. Sometimes we all need a little help.
I will be finding out soon enough though. Like I said in the beginning, I decided to hold off from watching season 2 because I wanted to finish this first, but as soon as I have uploaded it, I will be watching it immediately. And I will more than likely do a follow-up at some point, because I am pretty sure I will have many things on my mind as a result. Yeah, that's a fucking understatement. Hello, it's the editing alter again. Just wanted to say, yes, I will most definitely be talking about this series again at some point down the line. This show has done things to my brain, my heart, my soul. I'm thinking of maybe switching things up a little bit, maybe splitting it into parts or something like that. I don't know. I do have other things that I want to delve into and talk about, but as I said earlier, it all takes time, and I'm learning this stuff as I go, so, you know, we'll see. Also, thanks to everyone for all of the feedback on my previous video. I did not expect my first ever video to get 5 fucking figures in views, and I certainly did not expect 1,800 subs, so genuinely big thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. I almost didn't upload that video. And like I said, I do have a bunch of other stuff that I want to talk about and work on, and I'm currently working on down the line, but all in good time.
It's okay. We'll show them. We will show them all.
Okay, where was I? Volibear. I was looking at this cool motherfucker. Warwick. The Uncaged Wrath of Zon. Oh, he's from Zon. It's a cool design though. This is a really cool. This is really cool looking. Again, like, can you play as this though? Oh damn. Look at him there. Holy shit. Sometimes things feel a little too much like they're appealing to me. This looks too cool. Come on. And the fact that he's right next to another really like cool animal creature like Volibear is pretty awesome as well. But Warwick looks cool as well. I think Volibear looks a bit cooler. This guy's name is Zach. Why is his name Zach? It's like Flubber, but he's been hitting the gym. Jesus.